Hello everyone, my name is Friedel and I'm the founder of Big Sis. Today I'm gonna have a conversation with a very special guest about books and how art and books really can inspire preteen girls to have a positive relationships with their body and self-care. So you might be listening today because you are parents, you care for young girls in some sort of capacity. Maybe you're an auntie, maybe you are a scout leader, or you work with girls in other capacities. So whoever you are, be welcome in whatever capacity you care or support girls' well-being, be welcome. And today, we're having this conversation actually because it's Menstrual Hygiene Day. And there's some importance to this day, really. There's still a lot of shame and stigma attached to the topic of periods, to the topics of menstrual cycles. And it's something we really need to break and to talk about more in order to change the story for the next generation of girls. And shame is still really prevalent. And also the access to menstrual products for different menstruators, not just girls, isn't a given. So this day is really in place to create awareness of the importance of menstrual products, accessibility, but also really to talk about these topics around shame and so on. So today I have a very special guest with me, as I said. I feel really excited to have her here today. Her name is Erin McAirt, and she's the creator of iFlow, a guide to the menarche, which is a guidebook for girls from age 8 to 14, which just came out. So it's really exciting. We're going to have a first glimpse into her book. And Erin is an illustrator living in Bristol, joining us from Bristol today, as far as I'm aware. Seeing if she's already here. Just a moment. For those of you who don't know the word menarche or menarche, there are different ways to say it. It's the word for a girl's first menstruation, for a girl's first bleed. So I'm going to check if Erin's here. Hey, Erin.
Ooh.
Hi, can you hear me well?
Yeah, hi.
Yeah, amazing. Thanks for joining us today. By the way, this is the first Instagram Live I'm ever doing as well, so it doesn't have to flow.
It's
Welcome.
glitching out a little bit for me, but hopefully it'll settle down.
Right, I hope so too. Please let me know if I should repeat something. Okay. Yeah.
Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you perfectly.
Oh, right, okay, that's good. Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. It's really nice that we finally get to talk. About a year ago, you were talking, you were raising money with your crowdfunder to create this book. And I sort of wanted to reach out since it happened. So here we are. Congratulations to your crowdfunder.
Thank you. I can't hear you very well. It's quite annoying, but I'll try and
I'll try without my headphones.
I don't know.
Is that
maybe if I turn off that. I don't know if that helps. No.
how's that?
Oh, it's a bit better. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Let's try. I'll give you enough space to answer so we don't talk on top of each other, okay?
Okay, yeah.
I'd love to ask you some questions, as you know, and get a little glimpse into your guidebook, but also I'd like to invite people, if they want to ask some questions, to pop them, in the chat later. If there's anything, anything to ask,
Okay.
you can feel free to do so.
Okay.
And I'd love to jump right in there. Erin, I'd love to know what you were like as a girl yourself whilst you were growing up.
Yeah, I grew up in quite a conservative Christian town, small town. I kind of felt a bit like an outsider for most of it, and my art was always kind of a way of expressing myself. But yeah. In regards to periods, I guess having an older sister helped a lot. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know what else to say about my childhood.
So you were
I was one of the weird ones.
High five, me too. So you were always into art and drawing and things like that?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's been integral to my life, really. I can't imagine not creating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can really feel that in your creations, in your drawings. Did you bring the book to give us a little tour?
Yeah, I have one here. Can you see it? Is it coming?
Yes.
Yeah. Not sure if the light is great, but I posted yours out yesterday. Maybe it's arrived. I'm not sure.
Amazing.
Would you like to see?
Yeah, I think in a moment it would be nice to have a little tour inside. I was just, I think wanting to know a little bit more before we dive into there. What
Okay.
Because you were talking in your crowdfunder about how often menstruation is just very briefly mentioned in relationship and sex education, and if it is mentioned, it's sort of all around sex ed and pregnancy. What was your experience of learning about menstrual cycles in school, or maybe also in your parental home?
Well, I think one of the reasons why I've done the book is because I actually can hardly remember anything that they taught us at school, apart from bringing out some massive menstrual pads, and there was just no significance or importance about it. It was just like, this is going to happen, that's what you need, and that was it. And I was just kind of like, this. It's taken me to my age now to learn some really fundamental facts about menstruation that I think if you have that from the start, it can be really empowering. And that's basically why I've done the book, is through my experience and lack of information from school. I was lucky because I had an older sister and a mum that talked to me about it, but it was never like I now I find it it's just so an important part of being a woman, or being a bleeding person, and that you're on your period for 10 years of your life, so you've got to enjoy it, really. And I kind of just bored of the negative narrative around bleeding and periods. Oh no, I've got my period. Oh, it could be so empowering for women and girls to realize that it's a time that can be harnessed energetically. Anyway, I'll stop there. I could keep rambling. I hope that was clear. If it was.
Of course.
Could you hear me?
I mean, I could say 1,000 things back, because probably many of the people who listen to this can sort of identify themselves with, all right, I only learned about this, I don't know, in my late 20s or 30s or 40s even. or some when they even don't have a menstrual cycle anymore. So it's just showing me again how common this story is of learning about it super late, and if it's quite matter of fact or it's negative, and the narratives around it, which doesn't have to be that way. I think it's a lot about the introduction as well that we receive, and either we receive none or it's negative. It's sort of not an option anymore, isn't it? Because we, as you say, we spend so much time in our lives bleeding, or having other experiences around the menstrual cycle. No, I don't know how much you go in your book into that, the other phases of the cycle.
Yeah.
Is that a part of your book as well?
Hormonal. It's I've touched on it, but it's really an intro. So it's like you can take from it and then go deeper, you know.
Yeah.
I also wanted to keep it quite mainstream as much as possible. If that's, so it's accessible to people that might not necessarily be into like charting your period with the moon and that kind of thing. It's so it's kind of like it touches on these things, so if you're curious you could take it further.
Yeah, it sounds like a really good introduction, especially for young people. I think it would be a good moment actually to give us a little tour. Maybe you can outline the different parts of it, what you focus on, and show us a few of the pictures.
Yeah. How is it? Can you see it okay? Is it too?
Yeah, that angle is really good.
Sure. This angle. So it starts with a little welcome, and then it says what is the menarche, and it goes through the stages of puberty. I'll just go through it really quickly.
Yeah, that's fine, just so people have an idea.
And then a kind of the science behind why we have periods. We have a diagram of the vulva and the internal genitalia, and I kind of like I wanted to do this so it kind of encourages self-exploration, so that it's an image of
I can see
a mirror.
This is a mirror, yeah.
And then I kind of wanted to address things that I was curious about when I was growing up. So it's like how much blood, a little tip of cleaning your knickers, the cold water. And then we have menstrual products, all the different ones available, and how to use them. There's a bit about painful periods, and that actually they're not meant to be painful at all, and ways to address it. And also there's a bit about endometriosis.
Can you say a little bit more about that, Erin? Can I just stop you for a moment? I think many people might not be aware that periods aren't meant to be painful. Can you just explain? Or maybe read us a bit from your book.
Sorry? What was that?
Or you could read us a bit from your book as well.
So I have said periods can be uncomfortable, but they aren't meant to be painful. There are many things that can reduce pain and cramping. Sometimes the pain is a sign that the body is under stress, mentally or physically. In extreme cases where the pain is unbearable and the periods are heavy, it's advised to see a doctor. It's normal to feel discomfort, especially as you get used to your monthly cycle. Tuning into how your body feels will help. And then here are some ways to support the body and mind: eating a balanced diet, being hydrated, regular exercise, gentle exercise movement during painful periods, taking rest when needed, relaxing, and listening to your body. And then there's a bit about endometriosis, because it affects 10% of the global population of women, and it's the second most common gynecological condition in the UK, and it often goes undiagnosed. And that is usually the result of having those kind of really painful periods that people talk about.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So carry on.
Yeah, carry on with the tour. Thank you. I find that really important just to mention, because a lot of people are not aware that a normal period, and that's about the color of the menstrual blood as well, isn't it? That it's supposed to be quite, no clots and quite red, and that can change. But like when it goes very, very clumpy and dark, for example, that it means it's old blood. Which is something
It does say a bit about that on the page about how much blood. It talks about brown can be quite normal for like your body just clearing out old blood. But, yeah, pink light color is a possible sign of anemia. I'm not an expert. I'm not a doctor. I'm just saying that. It's just what I found out over the years. Boobs. This is to encourage positive body image, not to worry if you feel different. And then there's a page on discharge.
Yeah, the white stuff. The white stuff, as the girls like to call it.
Yeah.
It's great that you include that.
There's again something that I would worry about if you could go swimming on your period. And then there's a little bit about if your period hasn't arrived at all, and you reach 16, there's a kind of list of possibilities why. And then if your period has started and it's late, there's reasons why. And then quite like this page, I got a lot of women to give me a quote that they would tell their younger selves. So these are kind of tips to your child. And there's yoga.
Amazing. Some self-care
stretches
you can do.
And then we have hygiene, keeping clean, different names for your yoni.
Lovely.
And then there's a little rite of passage page with how the menarche is celebrated around the world, and then goddesses.
Amazing.
A little bit about the moon and how the menstrual cycle is a similar amount of days to the moon cycle, and how you can link it in with your period. And then this is one of my favorites.
The goddess.
Yeah.
Oh, I love this.
The hairy bleeding goddess.
Yes.
And then some links and resources. Yeah, that's it.
Nice work. Well, there seems to be like a lot in there. It's amazing to see that you also included self-care and these sorts of things. Because as we don't learn very much about our menstrual cycles in school, often from our parents, we don't learn enough about self-care. Like I have so many like moms in the webinars we do once a month that just don't have so much connection to it, and actually it's so important that they do, because they are the role models for the girls, and the girls will look up to them whilst they're growing up, trying to figure out who they are, who they want to be when they're growing up. And yeah, self-care is such an important one, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is. And yeah, if you learn that from the start, then you're set up.
I love that you included the grown-up women's. Did you say it's like sort of like letters to the younger selves, that sort of thing, in the book? You said it
Little
quite in the end.
quotes, yeah, that you would tell yourself if you could.
Could you read one or two of these?
I
I'd
just
love to hear that.
Yeah. Where is it? So, what have we got? We've got things will happen when they happen. Don't worry about being the first or last who starts your period. Just focus on being healthy and happy. Talk to your friends and family about their experiences. You may find similarities. Having friendships where you can openly discuss your feelings is so important and will help you feel confident. You don't have to live your life under the definition somebody else made up. There's no point in trying to be like someone else. That's exhausting as well as impossible.
Yes.
You won't know and can't plan when your period will start. It is a mystery. When it does arrive, be sure to mark the time and celebrate in any way you feel. Light a candle, be gentle with yourself and welcome the changes. Never feel ashamed. Menstruating is a natural and beautiful part of being a woman.
And what would you say to your younger self?
I think one of mine is in here. It's about just tracking your period, so you can mark on a calendar, and you could write a journal of emotions so that you know what to expect the next month, because it's very cyclical. Like once you realise that it's like a pattern, it's a lot easier to welcome and accept.
Yeah, definitely agree. I'm thinking about a question that I had noted down for you as well, which is sort of like, if there are parents listening or people who work with girls in different capacities, can you imagine how they could use your book? Because you say about learning these skills early, and do you find your book is rather something that the girls consult themselves, or is it something that you encourage maybe parents to do with them together?
I think a bit of both, because I think for the younger ages, especially if it's for an 8-year-old, so I know girls are starting earlier and earlier now, that to read it with a parent or a carer would be ideal for the first time, to avoid any like confusion, and so they could answer any questions. But I do love the idea of girls, the older girls, just finding this book and being like, yes, I have complete agency, and I can I own this book, and it's like, you don't need your parents necessarily to sort of, I like that idea, kind of giving them their power to sort of own it themselves.
Absolutely. And do you feel, what was I going to ask? I forgot, I lost my thread. It slipped from me, but it doesn't matter, really. I also can imagine that people can use the book together. And what I love what I love to explore with the moms when we talk together in the webinars is sort of like, because every girl will need something different, no? It's like some are more shy talking about it, some are really like out there and wanting to know everything and asking the questions already when they are pretty young, is to actually sort of let the girls choose sort of when they're ready for the book as well. So if you know, parents basically have it floating around in the living room or something, and it's accessible to the rest of the family, especially girls, could be really valuable that they just choose when they're ready for the information, and then it's there and they can sort of, you know, take it when they need it.
Yeah,
and put
that
it
sounds cool. Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're also talking in your crowdfunder about, you know, making this information accessible for other genders as well. For example, for boys. Do you think they could utilize your book as well?
I would love them to. I've sold a couple to parents for their sons, which makes me really happy because I think it's really, really important that boys learn about it. So it can only be a positive thing. That yeah, it will help with their relationships with women and girls and avoid the kind of immature tendencies they have, even as older men.
It's a valid point to mention. Can be.
Yeah,
But it also makes
yeah.
them. Sorry, I didn't mean
They
to
don't
cut
need
you off.
to be in the dark about it, I think.
Yeah. It's really good to hear that you sold some to parents for their hobby as well.
I did try to make the book as gender neutral as possible, avoiding using girls and women a lot, because there are young people who have periods who won't be identifying as a girl. So I wanted that to be part of it as well.
Yeah, thank you for making the point. I'm also on a journey with learning to use more gender neutral language. So it's really important that you make that point. Thank you for doing that. What's your favorite part of the book?
Sorry,
what's your favorite part of the book?
My favorite part of the book are the illustrations. Just because I'm a visual person, and how I learn is definitely a visual way. And reading too much, scientific facts, it just doesn't sink in for me. So I just like that that there are illustrations that kind of change the way of learning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that makes a big difference. And what also makes your book different from other books that I know that are in the market, that you're just visually really capturing which is also something that's really attractive, I think, especially for younger girls and for younger people with periods. You also create these beautiful moon calendars, and I was so surprised, like looking on your Instagram recently and like realizing that we had your illustration in our living room like for a year or so. Your big moon calendars. It's so funny.
Yeah.
Do you have one close that you could show to the people?
So this is obviously this year's. I just started next year's.
Amazing.
So,
so these are all moons of 2021.
Yeah. And
Amazing.
the last full moon was powerful. The super moon.
Just 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So I've been doing those since 2014. I'm getting quite a collection now.
And you hand paint them all, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, this is just, I actually have the original here as well, just to show you the scale of the original.
Wow. Amazing.
Yeah.
So beautiful. So where can people get your books or your moon calendars and other materials that you create?
I'm selling the books in my Etsy shop, which is Land of Erin, all one word. And then hopefully in health food shops. So hopefully Better Food in Bristol will have some. Yeah, that's another a whole new thing to do. So I really appreciate you inviting me onto this, because it's like you can make the book and then you're like, oh, now I need to like actually get it out there so people can have it.
Yeah.
So yeah, at the moment just online.
Yeah, well, that's a good place anyways to start with. Yeah. Do you want to say something about, well, sort of what you would like to, a message you want to get out to the listeners who listen to this and maybe have girls in their care? What are your 3 things, or maybe it's just one message that you have that you'd love everyone to know about menarche?
I guess that it is a really significant time in a person's life, and that it is a rite of passage that you can really celebrate. And to not celebrate it, I think, is a real loss. So that's just my opinion, though. Yeah.
It's a powerful thing to know, that it actually can be a positive experience. And like, the more I'm talking with people who have positive narratives around menstrual cycles, and puberty as well, because it's often like so people just assume that it's going to be hard and that it has to be like that, and that's just the way it is, including periods, including menstrual cycles, and including all the hormonal shifts that are going on, including all the feelings that we often label as negative or positive. It's sort of all part of it. And I also just like everyone to know, like, yeah, that we can just normalize also these feelings and experiences around it without assuming that it has to be shit. Sorry, I'm not sure if I should swear here. It's so important to create these alternative sort of narratives. So thanks for being part of that.
Yeah, and I think as well what you were saying about self-care, often like the negative emotions, or the ones that we don't want to have, if you accept them and feel into them and listen to what your body is saying, it can make it so much easier to deal with, instead of pushing things away.
Yeah, not fighting the negative emotions or the difficult emotions.
Like, I don't want them. Yeah. We aren't always meant to be happy all the time.
One way we try to normalize emotions is often through the weather. So using a weather metaphor, like the weather is never the same, and it's sort of all the weathers are needed so plants can grow, and so our earth can rest or blossom, or all the different processes of the seasons. So it's just really nice recognizing that in our own lives as well. and recognizing that we're also part of nature that needs these different currents, no?
That's beautiful. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just checking if anyone had a question. Just lots of yes, yes, yes. Looks great, beautiful illustrations. I would love to my younger self to know the same from Kaya. I would love just to open the floor if there's any questions anyone out there might have for Erin. If so, take your chance right now. I'm gonna take a sip from my shake. No one's got a question right now. Do I have one more? Oh yeah, I actually had one. I forgot to ask you. Because in your crowdfunding video you talked about that you have a desire to not use outdated language anymore and replacing terms such as feminine hygiene, and today we have menstrual hygiene day. This name. Can you say something about this? What do you mean?
Well, you know, periods aren't dirty, and that whole that's language of the past, and it's a negative way of looking at it, and it's as well as like feminine, like a lot of women don't feel feminine, so it's just all of it's ridiculous. And I think time to change.
So you're referring to, for example, when you go to a supermarket and where it says bread or pasta and they say feminine hygiene as a sign, for example.
Exactly that. It's crazy that they still have that. It's like hygiene. It's just it's dated.
Yeah, I agree with that. But though, like, we have these days that were named after something. And I guess it's sometimes also about like sort of, working with the culture that is there, and sort of in a way, sometimes we can bring awareness out by using the words that are there to make people understand. I just actually had a conversation about it yesterday, like, should we say periods anymore? Because in English, period refers to so many things, like a period of time of something. It doesn't necessarily mean menstruation. So should we replace all the words period to menstruation, and just to make a point and to name a thing what it is? So it's interesting to think about it. And also a lot of people use alternative names. I think you have a section in the book, hey, about nicknames for menstruation or period, don't you?
It's for your vulva.
Oh, it's for the vulva. Okay.
Not for. Yeah. No, that would have been a good idea though. I like that. Could have done that. Maybe in the second edition.
Second edition, exactly.
Yeah.
You said you would also love your books to be available in sort of like youth centers, or what did you say, GP practices, or I'm not sure.
I mean, I don't. It's something I need to look into if they would take them on, but I would like them to be able to be free for kids. So, something I need to look into. But I have a friend that works in a school in London, and she's really interested in me going in and trying to get them into the library there. So we'll see. It could be a trial school.
Yes. Got to try this out. Well, I hope it's all going well. Hope you'll have many editions of this and a lot of success with the book, and people find you.
Thank you.
I'll share this video on IGTV, and I will make a link create a link to your Etsy and to your profile so people can find you and the book.
Okay. Thanks so much. Thanks for inviting me. I really appreciate it. Really good to meet you finally.
It's really, really good to talk to you, and all the best.
Thank you. Thank you for your work. Great what you're doing.
Yeah, thank you. Hope it's going to reach many people as well. Have a good day, Erin.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.